Hello, everyone. You're listening to Alternative Revelations with Linda Emanuel, and this is podcast number 64. And this is a very important podcast for America only. This is not for Europe unless they just want to listen to it. This is an alert about the coronavirus next week. Before I get started, I have to read this disclaimer that I'm not a doctor, nor am I a licensed practitioner. Therefore, I cannot give any medical advice. These podcasts are therefore for informational purposes only. And if this resonates with you, fine. If not, just disregard it. And again, this is a warning to America. And if you listened to my podcast earlier today about the chemtrails loaded with the mycoplasma, well, they have gone to Plan B because of their satellites out in space are being knocked out by the planetary beings that have been watching over us for eons. Now, they can't help us here on Earth, but they can protect us out in the outer space. And since these platforms are being destroyed, they have gone, the Illuminati or the elite or the Vatican, whoever you want to imagine is in control, they have gone to Plan B. And another thing is, we are each a spark of God, even them. They are a piece of God, and God knows everything you and I think. In fact, God knows what you need and think even before you need or think it. And this is their plans for next week, beginning on Tuesday for America. And it goes as follows. And if you followed my podcast, you know that I really stuck my neck out when I bravely podcast what Spirit was telling me back in December, January, that there was going to be an economic crash starting around the middle of February. And at the time, I didn't really know why, but now we all know why. They're wanting to lead this into the New World Order, but of course, we're going to stop it. It's not going to happen, but they're given that this is their last hurrah to try to destroy mankind. And starting Tuesday in America, they are going to start unleashing the coronavirus. It's going to be inside of a mycoplasma pneumoniae. In fact, that's what Spirit is telling me. And they're going to be starting Tuesday in the chemtrails with this. Now, this is very risky for me to put out because I'm just having trust and faith in Creator that what Creator is telling me is true. And just about everything Creator has told me for the past year has come true. And I just have to be brave enough and trust enough in Creator to come out with this. And in no way am I trying to instill fear or panic. You already know how to protect yourself from the coronavirus. Listen to the podcast, How to Protect Yourself from the Coronavirus. It is actually a mycoplasma. Therefore, whatever kills mycoplasma will kill the coronavirus, because the coronavirus will be like the HIV mycoplasma, which has the Visna virus inside. This mycoplasma pneumoniae has the Spanish flu influenza virus of 1918 inside. So I don't want you to panic. You already know what kills it. Whatever resonates with you, follow your intuition and trust in God. And starting Tuesday, here goes. Starting Tuesday, the following part of the United States will be targeted with chemtrails with the coronavirus in it. It is going to be the Midwest. Now, the West Coast, Spirit does not know when the West Coast is going to be targeted, but the East Coast will be targeted on Wednesday. Now, that means the coastal states of the East Coast will be targeted. Anything inland will not be targeted. That is on Wednesday. And this is anything north of Georgia will be targeted on Wednesday along the East Coast. And again, this is the coronavirus being released through chemtrails. Now, on Thursday, the Illuminati are going to concentrate on Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, and Alabama. Again, on Thursday, chemtrails with the coronavirus will be deployed on Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, and Alabama. Friday, it will be Montana, Idaho, North and South Dakota, but not Canada. And lastly, on Wednesday, Alaska will be targeted. And again, the West Coast will not be targeted next week, but it is in their plans. But I will release a podcast when Creator tells me when West Coast will be under attack. Now, as far as Europe, they have plans on Europe, but they are not firmed up yet. And I will have a podcast immediately when Creator tells me that Europe is going to be targeted with the coronavirus. Right now, we were all targeted, most of these countries were targeted with regular mycoplasma in the chemtrails. And that is why so many people are sick with flu-like symptoms and chronic fatigue. Again, you need to watch your sugar intake. Mycoplasma cannot survive without sugar. And this coronavirus is inside of a mycoplasma. It is not by itself. And again, try to alkalize your body, try to detox, try to raise your pH up to at least 7.25 to 7.45. 8.6 mycoplasma and viruses die. So again, this concludes this podcast. This is kind of an emergency podcast. I had no plans on doing this, and all of a sudden, Creator just said, listen to me, this is what's going to be happening. Maybe they made their plans as of today, but starting Tuesday, I'll read this over again. The state of Hawaii is safe. On Wednesday, they are going to target Alaska with the coronavirus inside the mycoplasma. On Tuesday, the Midwest will be targeted. These are the same states that I mentioned in the previous podcast. On Wednesday, the East Coast, north of Georgia. Then on Thursday, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, and Alabama will be targeted. On Friday, Montana, Idaho, North and South Dakota, but not Canada, will be targeted. And I would like to add one point before I end my podcast, that the nursing home deaths in the state of Washington were a false flag. This really did not happen. This was sort of like Sandy Hook and the Boston Marathon bombing. This again was a false flag by our own country to instill fear. Now back to the podcast. So I hope this information was valuable. I hope it helps. Don't panic. You can kill the mycoplasma. Listen to the podcast, How to Protect Yourself from the Coronavirus. Children, they cannot take alkaloids. And Spirit has just informed me that Mycoplasma pneumoniae does not attack animals, so your pets are safe. So again, I hope this was educational. I hope this was informational. I hope all my podcasts are informational and helpful. Again, do not panic. You already know how to protect yourself from the coronavirus. It is inside of a mycoplasma. If you know how to kill mycoplasma, you can protect yourself. And again, I will podcast as soon as I find out about Europe, what their plans are for Europe. Again, Creator knows what's in each and every mind and hearts of each and every one of us. And Creator also knows what's in the heart and the minds of these satanic followers. And I would like to make one more point. Rain inhibits chemtrails. So be aware, prepare, and be safe from the coronavirus. So until next time, good night and God bless.